welcome back to my channel. My name is Andy, sometimes Mouse, and I talk about books and book related things, and today I am giving you my September wrap up. I almost said October, we're not quite there yet. Let's have some coffee because it is 8 a.m. and I don't normally film this early. So let's start with the stats. This was a bit of a busy month for me with reading. I definitely was like, I'm only gonna read one book a day and focus on my arcs and stuff, which I definitely managed to do, but somehow I still read more this month than I have in previous months. So I don't really know what that's about, but I really am trying to read less. It's not working out for me though, so I get bored. I get really bored when I try to do that, so yeah. Let's get into the stats first, and then I will talk about my favorite books this month and then my least favorite book of the month. This month I read 68 books. I read 22,654 pages. I listened to 440 hours worth of audiobooks, which is 18 days worth. Of those books, 47 of them were audiobooks, 21 of them were ebooks, 10 of them were graphic novels, and none of them were physical copies. All of that to say it was an average rating of 3.8 across the month, which is a pretty solid month. I've talked about it before. I feel like I'm just repeating myself, but really introducing the Compile rating system has allowed me to be much more honest about the way that I'm rating books. So I really like the way that that's working for me, so here we are. I read genre-wise 13 fantasy books, 19 books with LGBTQ+ characters, 2 sci-fi, 7 thrillers, 9 horrors, 2 contemporary books, 1 dystopian book, 2 historical books, 10 retellings, and amazingly enough, 12 romances. I checked those stats like repeatedly because that's the same number that I had last month, and it is accurate. Also, so sorry if you hear my dog. She really thinks that the only appropriate time to binge drink water or eat is while I'm filming. Of those genres, I read 38 young adult books, 26 adult books, and 4 middle grade books. For the authors, 51 of them were cisgendered, 42 were white, 21 were queer, 17 were non-binary, 21 were people of color, 4 were neurodiverse, and 21 of them were debut authors. On to the top books of the month, and this was a little bit hard. I read a lot of really good books this month, and it was really hard for me to decide like what my favorites were. My number one book this month I did not expect at all, and that was The Husbands by Chandler Baker. This is a thriller. It is definitely a slow burn, and it is definitely not for everyone, but in this slow burn it is basically the Stepford Wives but gender bent, and there's, you know, cults and husbands doing that thing that drives me absolutely bonkers, which is the absolute bare minimum, and when they do the bare minimum they expect gratitude and thanks instead of like wives doing everything for their children and making sure their children aren't dead and receiving no thanks. So that is something that is definitely pings a specific part of my brain for anger, and so the whole time that I'm reading this book, our main character has a husband that falls into this category. A lot of people have people that have significant others that fall into this category, and she is looking to buy a house in this neighborhood where the husbands seem to just kind of work from home or stay home in general and support their wives while their wives have these amazing careers and are doing amazing things, and she's just like, wow, I really kind of wish that I had that situation, but instead I have a husband who doesn't take my career seriously and doesn't help me out at home so that I can become a more successful professional, etc. So the whole time that I'm reading it, I'm vaguely pissed off, but not like he's not abusive, he loves her dearly, like he doesn't do anything that's blatantly like, girl, leave him, but like it's just this undercurrent that you see in real life that's frustrating even when you witness it in real life. And then there's this weird like, what is happening with the husbands in this neighborhood the whole time, and it's very tense. I will say when it comes to the actual like the peak, it kind of fell flat, but the twist really still shook me, so I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it is not for everyone for sure, but then we have Tristan Strong Destroys the World by Kwame Mumbalia. This is the second book in the Tristan Strong, I think it's a trilogy, the third book hasn't come out yet, and Tristan Strong really deals with grief and trauma a lot in these books, and I think that it's really important for children to learn about those concepts and have them in a tangible way that makes sense to them so that they can discuss them, because Tristan has like panic attacks and freaks out, and I think that we don't address the fact that this definitely is something that happens to middle grade age. Like, we have that representation in young adult, right? And we understand that teenagers experience this for sure. But like, children can go through something traumatizing and experience panic attacks and not even have the vocabulary to explain what's going on. And I think that the writing in this is really well done. I also, though, Gum Baby, when Gum Baby showed up in this book, I was like, yes! I love Gum Baby so much, and the comedic relief is just fantastic. And I was like stressed out but like entertained the whole time, and I just really love this story. It's one of my favorite of the Rick Riordan whatever presents books. Definitely top books. I want to buy all of them, but I'm like trying not to buy books, so here we are. Then we have St. Valentine, St. Abigail, St. Bridget by C.L. Polk. This is a novella, like a 40-50 page novella, very small, and it lives in my head rent free now, which is really saying something considering it was a novella. And I, as a general rule, don't enjoy novellas that much, and my mom recommended this to me, and I was like, okay, I guess. Like, I just didn't have really high expectations, but it has, queer witches, bees, just, it creates a world within itself that was tangible and understandable without me having too many more questions and being like, I really wish this had been a whole book. Like, for a novella, it would have been an amazing full book, to be clear, but for a novella, it really was fantastic, and I just enjoyed it greatly. I enjoyed the story, and the prose was really beautiful, and especially for a novella. I think I paid like 90 cents for it or something on Kindle, and then read it in an hour sitting, less than an hour sitting, and I'm really glad that I did. It was really, really enjoyable. Then for my two arcs for this top 5, we have All of Us Villains by Amanda Foody. This is Hunger Games meets wizardry, magic, all of that. And when they say that, they genuinely mean it. It is a lot of like, I was raised to be a monster, and the monsters can't get you when you're the monster, and whatever kind of languaging, which I really enjoy. And when everybody's pretty much the bad guy, also deeply enjoy that. These kids are put in, and whoever wins this tournament basically gets blood magic or dark magic, and nobody else gets it. They get magic, but it's not the same. And the one family has always won, and when you kind of find out how they've always managed to win, it is nauseating, and then to just see all of it come together was great. My only like complaint about the arc was it felt like in the last 25% of the book they realized they wanted to make more money off of a series instead of a standalone, and so they just like quickly made it so that you don't know what happened, and that sucked. I didn't like that. It really felt like it was going to be a really solid standalone, and then all of a sudden it's going to be a series, and I'm sorry, not everything needs to be a series, and this definitely could have been wrapped up in one go. And the second top book, and this will be a shock I think to everyone, was Count Your Lucky Stars by Alexandria Bellafleur. This is a romance book. It is the next one in the set of romance books that this author has written. I've only read the Pride and Prejudice retelling one with Darcy and Elle that I can't think of the name of right now. It follows like best friends to lovers to enemies to roommates of convenience tropes, which is like a lot of things all in one, and I really enjoyed it. I think the only thing that I didn't love was that we have a reoccurring character who is now the main character in this book, and her story felt lackluster compared to the newly introduced love interest. She felt boring to me and flat, which was interesting because I would think that if she's been in the other books that we would know more about her, and I feel like we really didn't, and so that was a little bit like, but I did really enjoy the book, and I thought that the way that divorce was handled and like not wanting kids or wanting kids, especially at the age that they are and I am, it's pretty normal, or it's becoming a more normal conversation to not want children, but like some people get married and they both have that expectation of, no, we're not gonna have kids, and then someone changes their mind and then it's a whole thing. And I'm glad that that conversation came up. I thought that was really interesting. I also really enjoy the amount of like zodiac stuff that's been included in this book and then in the previous book, but I really enjoyed it. The worst book this month. I blocked it out of my mind, which is really funny. I was going through my ratings to try and like, oh, I'm gonna find like, you know, a 2-star, a 1-star, like I'll definitely find one and go from there. Because I couldn't remember what the worst book was. And then I saw this title and I was like, guess I have to talk about it. The Turnout by Megan Abbott. I think that first, it's very important to note that one, I was in ballet for a really long time. I love ballet books and I love ballet thrillers, and we really, really like to sexualize ballet in a way that makes it haunting and scary, and I find that frustrating because that feeds into this rhetoric around like ballerinas looking dainty and thin and childlike almost, and then we hypersexualize them, which is a very strange conversation that I don't think people are ready for. And this book is no different. I also think it was heavily inspired by The Flowers in the Attic. But the difference is The Flowers in the Attic came back a very long time ago. Not a very long time ago, but I think before even I was born. I think in the 70s, maybe the 80s, definitely before I was born. And this book came out recently. So, you know, I think the difference there is that you fucking know better than to use incest as a trope. You should know better than that. It's not a good thriller trope, and also using, which I think I'm gonna have to bleep out, I think also using that as a trope, as a thriller trope, that's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit and a cop-out, and you can do better. Like, to also hint at it and then have our main characters be continuing to participate in the weird incestuous kind of relationship as adults, no, do better. You can do better, actually. And then also to encourage the strange conversation around children's bodies and ballet, fuck off. Fuck off. Like, let's not sexualize children's bodies. I don't care if they're a teenager, that's a fucking child. Let's not sexualize it in that concept, especially in an athletic sport that is already so hyper-focused on their bodies. Let's not make it weirder by putting this weird sexual thriller aspect to it. It's fucking weird. Black Swan already exists. Flowers in the Attic already exists. We don't need all of these tropes. None of them are new, and they're old and tired, and I'm over it. I'm fucking over it. You know, also one of our main characters, it's told in the perspective of one of the sisters, but then the other sister is supposedly like this ditzy and like not quite all there and like definitely mentally ill, and we don't treat any of it well. All of that aside, nothing happens in this book. Nothing happens in the entire book. All they do is be tense around everyone because no one fucking communicates. And then there is this caricature of a villain who's a love interest who does bad things. And then I learned a shit ton about home insurance and arson insurance and life insurance in this book. Did anything interesting happen other than that? Not really. The did she do it for insurance trope really works better in film, but even then it's pretty fucking dumb because it's been done. It's hard to have new concepts in horror and thriller, and I understand that. I do. That's why we have so many remakes of the same things. I get that it's hard to have new and interesting ideas, but to replay tropes that are problematic at best and disgusting and uncomfortable at worst, that's boring. Do better. Just do better. That's not hard. To not use those tropes is not hard. This book could have been something interesting, and unfortunately it was not. It was boring and uncomfortable, and that's it. Not in the same way that The Husbands was uncomfortable, eerily uncomfortable the whole time, because you still have this present emotion of annoyance towards the husband. No, this book, The Turnout, made you feel gross the whole time you were reading it. You felt like you needed to take a shower and maybe bleach your eyes out because you felt like you were stepping into someone's weird fantasy about sisters and young ballerina boys. Like, it felt gross, and then nothing happens in the whole book. So you've wasted your time just feeling gross. It was just such a waste of time. I hated it. So if you liked it, good for you. I have questions, but that's it. That's my wrap up for September. Bit of a busy month. Kind of hard to transition out of like, I fucking hated this book. Anyway, here's the end of my video, but here's the end of my video. Next month's wrap up will be the last wrap up before Clear Your Shit. So I hope that you guys have looked into some of that stuff and you are excited about it. I'm very excited about it. We will have announcements and stuff coming out I'm gonna go though. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below if you have read any of these books, if you have any thoughts. What do you think about using those tropes in horror thriller? Like, do you think that we should just stop using them? Because I do, but I'm actually open to hearing about why you would disagree with that. I'm actually like, I think it's an interesting conversation. I am gonna go though. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share if you did enjoy this video. I hope that you guys have a great, fantastic rest of your day. I think I've already said that like 3 times. Don't forget to drink your water, take your meds, do something today that helps you take care of you. All right? See you guys on Thursday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, and again on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time every week. Okay, thanks, bye.